Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Matt Diazable coming at you with some new music reviews. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Today, we are checking out the latest album from A Day to Remember called Big Ole Album, Volume 1. And I'm sure if you saw this video, you already know who A Day to Remember are, but if you don't, A Day to Remember is a Easycore, hardcore, post-hardcore band based out of Ocala, Florida, and they've been a band since like 2002. Been one of, I wouldn't say favorite bands, but they're a band that I've really enjoyed throughout the years. I think my friend who I started my clothing brand with, Jamie, she put me onto them way back with their second album with the song called Fast Forward to 2012. I remember her saying like, yo, Matt, you got to check this song out. I checked it out. And since then, I've just been a big fan of A Day to Remember. They've put out a lot of albums in the past like 15 years. I really enjoy their cover of Since You've Been Gone from Kelly Clarkson, and a lot of people love their album Homesick. And you know, they've had a lot of I guess ups and downs with their career, with members coming and going, legal issues with their record labels, but they've always persevered and, you know, just had a very good, fun party and just great. They were able to capture the, I would say, the mid 2000s high school millennial crowd very well, and they're still putting out music. And you know, with this latest album, it's a little bit of a mixed bag of things. They're stepping into one direction, but that direction they're going, it might not always be the best, I would think, especially in terms of the Day to Remember camp. While there are some moments on here that are really good and, you know, sound all right, the album as a whole, it doesn't do a really good job of capturing the energy and grit that made A Day to Remember to be such a standout post-hardcore band and easycore band in the scene back in the day. And this time around, kind of like with their last album, You're Welcome, it's leaning more into polished music that has a very stadium rock anthem feel to it, like on the songs Bad Blood and To the Death. But often, most of the times on these tracks, they either are like okay or they fall flat, like on the song All My Friends and Die For Me. I think one important trend that A Day to Remember has always been able to do really well is have a banging and very great opening track on their albums. And with this one, they have a song called Make It Make Sense. And it's a heavy track for sure that has some big, almost new metal style riffs, but something about the song, it never really punches you and kicks in really hard that A Day to Remember is known for, like with all their previous opening songs. Like, was it Sticks and Bricks, The Downfall of Us All, Fast Forward to 2012. Just something isn't there, like some magic is missing a little bit. So I want to play a clip of Make It Make Sense for you.
Make it make sense, make it make sense. Why do we wait when we can't rewind? Put it in place and we're out in time. You ain't gotta say, but I gotta know why. Make it make sense, make it make sense. I don't wanna.
For an opening track for A Day to Remember, something about it is just not hitting. It's just not hitting the right spots. Feedback and Bad Blood feel a little bit more lively compared to the opening song, and the latter song bringing back some of that grit that the band is known for with a really massive breakdown. However, I've noticed that, you know, there's a noticeable trend on this album, and that is many of the tracks feel a little bit restrained, lacking fun, and just don't really have that raw energy of their earlier work. Maybe it's because they were younger, hungrier, more youthful, but I get it. They're maturing, they're getting older, so they're playing in a different headspace and wanting to play a different type of music, which makes sense. But it feels like it's not transitioning that well into this sound space they're going for. Lyrically, A Day to Remember stays true to themselves, but at times it feels like, you know, they're trying really hard to replicate their past sound and not really evolve naturally over time. All My Friends is a prime example of sounding like a forced attempt to capture their anthem-like sing-alongs from back in the day, and it just comes off as feeling very empty and repetitive. So I want to play a clip of All My Friends for you.
Put your trick in the air and toss it the right here and right now. Burn it down tonight. Put your trick in the air and toss it the right here and right now. Paint this town tonight. Put your trick in the air and toss it the right here and right now. Burn it down tonight.
I get where they're going for, but it just doesn't feel very genuine. Same Team suffers the similar inconsistencies as well. Some of the sections have a little bit of a really good grit to them, but they lose a lot of that momentum when they strip things down, and they kind of strip them down too much, and so the song can feel, again, a little bit too empty. That's not to say that there aren't any highlights on here. To the Death definitely delivers one of the album's heaviest moments, packed with crushing riffs and just an absolute mesmerizing energy to it. Silence takes things even further by being very unexpected with its very dark, heavy, and brooding sound, and at times sounding like Behemoth and definitely Gojira. And I did a recent, collaboration with one of my YouTube friends talking about this album, and I learned that this particular song, they were specifically going for a Gojira sound because they were very influenced by them. So it makes sense, but it's a pretty interesting song in this album altogether because it's the most experimental and just heavy sounding song that it comes off pretty well. So here's a clip of Silence. I think they did a good job of sounding like Gojira, or at least like showing their influence and just paying homage to them. Meanwhile, Flowers brings back that softer, easier core roots, feeling like it could have easily been plucked out of a Homesick era of A Day to Remember. Like, it has that very older vibe to them, just that sounds really great. And I think LeBron does a really good job of injecting some real fun into this track list by being more of a 90s alt rock vibe. And overall, they're just being more playful with this song, and it wasn't too bad. But for every standout moment, there's a track that just feels so uninspiring. Die For Me is just too much of a Bring Me the Horizon-esque style song that doesn't really fully commit to that style of Bring Me the Horizon. And another fact I learned, I think this was another song that it's a cover of one of a Bring Me the Horizon song, or they were influenced by them heavily. So I can see why it's very Bring Me the Horizon here, but it's compared to that song Silence, I feel like they didn't really fully commit to it. While Miracle follows that typical slow build up to a big climax formula, but it doesn't really bring anything fresh to the table, and it just feels a little bit flat. The album closer, Closer Than You Think, is one of the more heartfelt moments on the album, bringing some warmth and sincerity to the overall atmosphere of the album. But it also suffers from one of the biggest issues about this album, is that it's played with a lot of empty production and just kind of sinks the song a little bit. Overall, Big Ol' Album from A Day to Remember is a mixed bag, because I feel like if another band who wasn't as famous or, just starting out, this would be a solid record for them and like the rock genre in general. But for A Day to Remember, it just feels like it's lacking a lot of fire and grit that just made A Day to Remember so impactful back in the day. There are some great moments on this album, but I think there's not enough here to elevate the legacy of A Day to Remember. I feel like it might hinder it a little bit, but for A Day to Remember, this doesn't really live up to their name. So it's kind of just like a very okay. Like I said, if it was another band who did it, it'd be really great. But to them, it's not their best work for sure. So I would give it a nice and decent 7 out of 10. It's not totally bad. It's not totally good. It's just a little bit in the between. But tell me what you think about it. Like, subscribe, comment. Love to hear some feedback. And even though they have a song called Hear Feedback, that's pretty funny. But yeah, until next time, guys, I will see you in the pig.